Welcome everyone to this special hybrid meeting of the Civic Licensing Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking. Thank you. Moving forward to item 1, apologies for absence.
There's no apologies, Convener. All members are present. Councillors Scott, Councillors Nicholl and Councillor Whiteside have joined us remotely and the rest are in the chamber. Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Do we have any? I don't see any, so we'll move on. Item 3, and our main item of business, or only item of business, is a new application for house in multiple occupation, Crofts Farm, Carmiley. This is report number 11024 on page 3 of our papers. Now, morning we have Fraser MacDonald, is that right? Yep.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Fraser, would you like to talk to members about your application, in support of your application?
Yeah, our application, we've actually had an HMO licence on the building, certainly since I've been involved in the business since about 2011. So we've had subsequent renewals since 2011. So I wasn't entirely clear why this one was looked like a new application rather than a renewal. But I understand from discussions yesterday or Monday with building control that I think because of the time delay in them, the building being inspected, it had to be dealt with in 1 year. So I'm not sure whether that's why it's been treated as a new application. But so yeah, the renewal application went in March 23, and Building Standards visited us about 10 days, 2 weeks ago to check the property. So there are 2 points that they've asked us to follow up and complete, which we have in progress at the moment, which are window handles to be replaced, and the second item is the extractor fans. There are extractor fans in the ladies and the gents, but they don't think they're all working. So we've got an electrician booked to come and just check that they are all working. So, so there's those 2 points that need remedied. At the time they were out a fortnight ago, I guess we weren't given we weren't advised that we had to do it within the 2 weeks to clear them off for the renewal. So we were just advised to inform them when the work was complete and they would come out and re-inspect. So it was, we have engaged an electrician and a joiner to complete the work, but at the time I did that, we weren't given an indication that it had to be done in the 2 week period. So, you know, that work will be concluded, and I think within the next 7 to 14 days, it should be rectified. I think from my side, I don't really think I've got anything else here.
That's fine, thank you. Can I maybe then bring in, do we have Lee Tom on? Do you have any comments, Lee?
Hi there. Yeah, sorry. Firstly, I would really like to apologise to the applicant, the convener, all board members and licensing colleagues. There was an unacceptable delay in our inspection and consultation process for this application. I fully appreciate this board has been called today due to the timescales involved, and I take responsibility for the delay in this case. It's not acceptable at all. I hope it's not what licensing has come to expect from us. And I have looked at what's went wrong in this case and taking steps to ensure it does not happen again.
Thank you, Lee. Do you have anything to say on the actual outstanding repairs?
Yeah, certainly. They are minor in nature, but obviously the HMO guidance does require that rooms require suitable ventilation. So, you know, once that is done, we're more than willing to work with the applicant quickly to re-inspect and get that ticked off.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll just now move to questions from members.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I don't have any questions for the applicant, but I do for our officer Lee, Tom.
Yeah, that's fine. On you go.
Yes, when you say quickly, how quickly could you go and re-inspect?
Essentially right away. Yeah, so if he advises he's carried out the works, we can go out the next day and check that.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you, Convener. It's a question, it's a kind of personal question for the applicant. Is this property, is it getting predominantly used for possibly seasonal workers or anything?
Yes, the accommodation since it was constructed, it's for farm seasonal workers. So we have on the farm we have a combination of a licensed caravan park and a dormitory style accommodation, which is the subject of this application. So yes, it is for seasonal farm staff. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Melville.
Yeah, thanks. I was just looking in here that it's 9 rooms and you're looking for a maximum of 20 residents. Is I take it then, are there going to be times when it's absolutely at capacity, or do you think it'll largely be under the maximum of 20? Just because I'm thinking about obviously 9 rooms is.
Yeah, the accommodation in latter years does tend to be used for either couples that are returning to the farm or supervisors who, we tend to try and just differentiate a wee bit in terms of the accommodation they're provided. So I would say normally we probably run about maybe 12 to 15 people in the accommodation.
Councillor Durno.
Thanks, Convener. This is just purely because I'm one of the councillors from our booth. Where's the workers coming from this year? Because every year it seems to be a different continent that they're coming from. Do you know where they're coming? It's just purely just for interest, really.
Yeah, our workforce is split almost into 2 halves. So we've got 50% that are returning through the EU settlement scheme and have pre-settled or settled status. So those workers are predominantly coming from Romania and a few Bulgarians. Alongside that, the remaining 50% come through the government's visa scheme. And at the moment, the countries that they're recruiting from are a lot of the Stan-based countries, so Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. They have been to Tajikistan, but they're not too comfortable with the arrangements between the 2 countries. So, so our agent has also arrangements this year with Kenya, and the Kenyans seem to be sponsored by their own communities to go to an agricultural university and then do a 6-month visa in the UK. So there's a feeling that we'll get some good quality workers because they're kind of being picked in their country to try and develop their knowledge of agriculture and ultimately take it back to Kenya. So we're quite keen to try some Kenyans because I think they're also likely to have English language, which since we've moved to having a lot of Kyrgyzstans and Uzbekistans, they predominantly speak Russian, so it's become much more difficult to communicate around the farm. Yeah, so.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Convener. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr MacDonald. And a note what you'd said earlier that you've been doing this since 2011, so well experienced. Just reading here, and we've had Ms Tom's explanation, so none of that's going to be fine. I just wonder about the actual communal area. Could you, because you know, all I've got here is loos and bedrooms. Can you maybe just expand on that for me, please?
Yes, the communal area is split into, it's adjoining, but there's communal kitchen with a number of cookers, sinks, and work surface areas in one half of the building or in the room, and in the other half of the room is a seating area, lounge area with television, and we go through periods of having a table tennis table or a snooker table. So that's, I guess, where if they're going to spend an evening or do something socially, they've got that room to do that in the building.
Thanks very much, Mr MacDonald. Thanks, Convener.
Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener, and thanks, Mr MacDonald. Just to clarify, Convener, I suppose we're really just here to decide on the issues in front of us today, which is the building standards, and it all looks pretty straightforward if that's all we're considering, subject to the work being complete. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe it is. However, I have a question that I want to come in, and if that's okay, and then we'll move on from that to address the recommendations. It's on page 4 under legal implications. Now, this part, you can read it, but the committee must refuse to grant an HMO licence if the applicant, and it goes on and on and on. But the part where we've got the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, it actually, in determining whether any living accommodation is or can be made to be suitable for occupants, and HMO, the committee must consider. So that's obviously us. Its location, its condition, any amenities it contains, the type and number of persons who occupy it, and it goes on. Now, my question is that as a committee, how can we do that if its location, we don't have a map, its condition, really we don't know about, and Lee, I think, can maybe help us there. What I'd like to know is it for the committee to accept from, say, Lee, that these are all okay, because we have nothing in front of us to actually say whether they are or not? Lee, could you come in on that?
Yeah, I think it's more of a legal question than anything else. You know, in terms of HMOs, that there is written guidance, and when we go out, we do have to check things like the space standards, that there's enough cooking equipment, there's fridges, there's, you know, it does go into detail. So in terms of this is a reapplication. So, you know, a full check has been done many years ago, and our process was just to check that the requirements are still met every 3 years. So I couldn't really advise in terms of other things, but other than the points on the papers that we picked up with regards to ventilation, we're more than happy with the application.
Thank you. Can I maybe ask then, Jennifer, do you have any comment to make on that?
Yes, thank you, Convener. Yes, the requirements, as you have listed there, are set out in the legislation, that members are required to take these matters into consideration. However, there have been no other responses to the formal consultation and to the consultation requests that were sent out. However, if there are matters within that list which you feel have perhaps not been covered, then it would be for you to ask questions which might provide any answers.
Thank you for that. No, I don't have any concerns. I just wondered that how, as a committee, do we determine that when we don't have that information? But I'm happy with the answers. Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, convener. Yeah, I was just going to come back and say that's really what I was getting at. I mean, normally these type of licenses might be dealt with under delegated, apart from any issues that were raised, and this was the only issue. So I don't think that we're required to go through all these other conditions unless there's been any issues raised with us, and that's why I thought it was pretty straightforward. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? No? With that, then I'll move back to Mr. MacDonald. Would you like to sum up? Is there anything else you want to say, basically?
No, I think the only maybe additional point that maybe hasn't been covered in terms of the, I guess, the consultees that have been out. The fire brigade did their review back in July. So the fire brigade and building standards have both visited the premises. And I guess, as mentioned, yeah, we continue to operate the premises based on the rules around occupancy rates for the size of rooms, and facilities like toilets, cookers, etc., are matched to those standards in the guidance. So I think from my side, that's really, I think, all I can add. Yeah.
Thank you for that. From that, then we'll move to the recommendations. The recommendations are: 1, we grant the application subject to standard conditions. 2, we grant the application subject to additional conditions. Or 3, refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 5. With that, if I could make a proposal that we grant the application subject to the work that requires to be done, which is you've got in hand anyway. Any other? Sorry,
I'll second you in that.
Thank you. Councillor Whiteside, I see your hands up.
No, I was just going to offer to second that as well.
Okay. With that, are there any other alternatives or proposals? No? Unanimous? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And could our officer expedite this as quickly as possible?
Yes.
Okay. Yep,
sorry, I have Jennifer on. Jennifer?
Thank you, convener. Yes, I just wondered if I could check whether that is there is a time frame within which those works are to be carried out, whether it is a condition of the licence that they are carried out within a specified time.
Okay, thank you for that. How long do you think it'll take to have that work done?
Yeah, 7 days or 14 days. I think we can do it very quickly.
So if we put a time limit of 21 days,
yeah, I think we're more
that would be fine.
More than comfortable with it. Yeah, more than comfortable with that, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're agreed on 21 days.
Agreed.
Agreed. With that, that concludes our meeting. Thank you all very much. And thank you, Mr. MacDonald.
John, could you stop the live stream?